Paul's 1 Corinthians chapter 5. Brethren, purge out the old leaven, that you may be a new paste, as you are unleavened. For Christ our Pasch is sacrificed. Therefore let us feast not with the old leaven, nor with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. In the Gospel. Take that according to St. Mark, chapter 16. At that time Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, and Salome bought sweet spices that coming they might anoint Jesus. And very early in the morning, the first day of the week, they came to the sepulchre, the sun being now risen. And they said one to another, Who shall roll back for the stone from the door of the sepulchre? And looking, they saw the stone rolled back, for it was very great. And entering into the sepulchre, they saw a young man sitting on the right side, clothed with a white robe. And they were astonished, who saith to them, Be not affrighted. You seek Jesus of Nazareth, who is crucified. He is risen, he is not here. Behold the place where they laid him. But go tell his disciples and Peter that he goeth before you into Galilee, and there you shall see him as he told you. Thus far the words of today's Holy Gospel. So Father, Son, goes to men. There's a few minutes this morning. We have to leave quickly after Mass to go catch an airplane. On this sacred morning of Easter, we have the consideration of the holy women. Who shall roll back for us the stone? And there are two sides of that worry of them. One is that their incredible weakness and their incredible lack of faith. That our Lord Jesus Christ said he would conquer death. He said he would conquer hell. And he did conquer death and hell. And he conquered the entire universe and shed every drop of his blood and won the greatest of wars against sin, against all misery. And they are so weak in faith that they don't know about a stone. They're afraid of a stone. Like in our times, we're not even under persecution, and we're not even in great difficulties, and we're worried about the smallest inconveniences. Where are we going to get the money from? How are we going to make it through this next week? How can we be without the regular sacraments? How can we go without health insurance? And we're worried about the smallest of things. When Jesus Christ conquered hell, destroyed armies, killed 40,000 soldiers in Sennacherib, killed all the firstborn of Egypt, wiped out the entirety of the army of Pharaoh, obliterated all of hell. And so on the one side, this is a great weak faith that we have. But then there's the other side. Who did roll back the stone? Who is the one that did it? You know that normally when you're a king, you would tell the servants, open the door. You tell the servants, cook the meals. You tell the servants, do the small things. But who rolled back the stone? A little bitty rock. He had conquered hell. He had defeated Satan and all of sin. He had opened the gates of heaven. And he had visited the souls in limbo. But who was the one that rolled back the stone? Our Lord Jesus Christ himself made sure that he rolled back the stone. And that we will find here in our time, in this great final battle against hell, that the very small obstacles, we are afraid that we might trip over a small rock. We're afraid that we might not be able to overcome the smallest of difficulties and obstacles. Who is the one that rolls back the stone? It's Christ himself. And remember when he rolled back that stone, his victory of resurrection was the greatest of victory, but when he rolled back that stone, we learned in the gospel last night what happened. The stone rolled back, and there came a great light, and there was an incredible light, and the light was shown in the presence of the 100 soldiers that were guarding that tomb, and the power of an angel stood before them, and they were so terrorized that they stood as dead men, and they saw Christ, and they saw the angel, and they saw the power of God in the rolling back of a stone. So he is the one that makes sure that somehow we survive through the small difficulties of life. God uses his most powerful angels to move the smallest pebbles, and he himself removes the smallest obstacles. And why does he do this? Because the one central driving force of Christ coming to this earth and of his death and resurrection is his infinite love. And infinite love is not just infinite in size, as in it's very great. It's also infinite in its details. There are two great infinites, the infinitely large and the infinitely small. And inside, if you take a microscope and you look inside the divine love, you'll find there's always a smaller molecule, and always a smaller molecule, and always a smaller molecule, that we'll find his love really is counting the hairs on our head. His love really is making sure the sun doesn't burn us. His love really is making sure that the door unlocks. His love is making sure that we don't trip and fall or slip on a slippery floor. His love is taking care of the smallest details and make sure that Daniel, when he received food inside the lion's den, Habakkuk happened to be cooking Daniel's favorite meal. And he happened to bring his favorite food, and therefore he ate a most wonderful meal. When in the presence of the lions, he took care of each detail of the smallest things. He doesn't just take care of the greatest things, like conquering the devil and conquering hell and conquering sin. He also takes care of the littlest things, such as the hairs of our head and our smallest desires. It is God who rolled back the stone. It is God who made the soldiers appear as dead men in absolute terror because of a little pebble, a little rock. And so he is infinite in his great power and infinite in his small power. And what moves that infinite power of God is simply his indescribable and infinite love. And this is shown in all ways in this day of the resurrection. In case we have to be brief here, wish you a happy and holy Easter. And God bless you all then. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen.